Welcome to the Salted Up podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Kerrigan. We're here today with Ashley Jensen. Ashley is an associate professional clinical counselor who has an incredible journey of her own loss and grief and how that created her and her intention to become a healer. Hi, Ashley. Welcome to the podcast. It's so great to have you here.
Thanks. I'm so happy to be here.
To start, your journey into becoming a counselor is very inspiring and moving. You experienced profound personal loss and chose to become a healer yourself. And it's really shaped your approach to therapy. Can you take us back? Can you tell us a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, after losing my husband, I eventually went and realized that I needed to get to talk to somebody. I needed help with the emotions and the feelings and stuff. So I went to a therapist, and during the session, I remember thinking I should do this, and I wanted to help people.
It just came to you, just like that.
It literally felt like the image I had was like books falling down. Like it just was like, it was just so big. I was just like, whoa. I was surprised by it as well. I hadn't thought of it before.
What a great description. Books falling on you. So your body felt it.
Yeah.
And then what was that? I mean, what was that like to just be hit with that?
It just really surprised me. I hadn't even thought about it once. I should.
Never in your life. No. And then it's...
No.
Wow.
So it was...
So tell us, once you were hit with this is what I want to do, then what happened right after?
I just was like, okay, it felt right. It felt like, okay, I had a peace. I had a piece of knowing, like, okay, I can do this. And then I thought of just my childhood growing up, and people always confided in me and shared things with me. And so I kind of went there first, probably. And then I looked up schools and enrolled by just a few months later, was enrolled in a master's program. So
it was almost as if out of nowhere you were hit with a purpose. While you were grieving your own loss. And can you tell us about that loss and what had happened for you?
It was sudden. It was, my husband had a heart attack, and so I had to do compressions, call 911. It was super early in the morning. And I just remember being frantic. My kids were sleeping, which was the best part of the whole thing. Just so they were protected and they weren't in the chaos. So again, I had a sense of peace in it, which was really special. And then just the ambulance came, they took them, and I think someone took me to the hospital. They told me, have someone take you, one of the ambulance drivers or people, which was really helpful information because at that point I didn't really know what to do. So I took it to heart, and I had someone drive me, which was close. And and then I was told that he didn't make it. And so they left me with just his body, and I had to process. I was alone. And I had to process that, and that was pretty traumatic.
So they left you alone in a room with him.
Yeah.
After all of trying to revive him, trying to be, it was chaotic, but yet you felt peace.
I had moments, so I had moments of peace in it, which is just that my kids were asleep, or that I got a ride there. There were things that still worked out, that worked well.
Okay.
That were
so there was something in there that just felt even though this feels so out of control, there's something aligning where there's some protection.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so there you are standing with him, and then you had to process it. Like, what were you thinking? What were you feeling in that moment?
I was probably in shock. I think it's just a lot of shock. So I think that was just hard.
Which in grief is that very first.
Right.
Right? The first step.
It's like, what is real? Like, what is going on? Yeah. Just
a little surreal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from that time, what happened in your grieving process with him?
So.
And as time went on and you told the boys and.
Yeah. So I told one of my, so I had another moment of, I literally remember thinking, I know exactly what to do when I got back to where we were living. And I remember my oldest woke up and I knew what to tell him because I've also lost my sister at a young age. So there was a strength in there. And then my oldest said, can I tell my brother? He wanted to tell him. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. But there was just a knowing, like that was probably, I just knew what to do at that point, which was kind of when I got back from the hospital, which was really, I don't know, it was really powerful that I held on to. Otherwise, we ended up packing up, moving down south, down to here, Orange County. And just a lot of numbness because my kids were just under 3 and 5. So just a lot of...
surviving.
Yeah, yeah.
So you went from shock to numb and just pure survival.
Yes.
With moments of clarity.
Yeah, peace.
And peace. Yeah. Where you just knew. Would you say it was just, you knew it was going to be okay? Or how would you describe that peace?
I think because he was a Christian, I had a peace in just knowing where he was in those next, like I just knew he had a relationship with God. And so I think I had peace in that, knowing he was out of pain.
Okay.
Yeah, not knowing my next steps, but just kind of going with the flow at that point. Yeah. I mean, it was...
Literally trusting the process and journey, just one step at a time.
Yeah, did not. You can't even look. Actually, making decisions when people were helping me pack, they kept asking me questions, and it actually, my anxiety, it just got really. I think I had my first panic attack at that time because people were coming to me, and it added to the chaos part instead of just doing what they thought. So.
That's really good to hear, that when people are grieving and right in the middle of it, having to make big decisions or small decisions, it's too much.
Yeah, anything was too much. It was like even yes or no, I'm like, I don't, yeah. So I stopped. I literally said, I can't make any more decisions. And I said that to a few people.
So you just held it. Yeah.
I was like, I don't know. I can't make any more decisions right now. Because I could... Every time I would get asked, it would
bring it up.
Yeah. It was just like too much. I already was at really high. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that seems to be a really common experience for people. Like, please don't. And so you having a boundary with that, just saying what you needed, sounded like it worked.
Yeah, I just knew I couldn't answer more of those type of questions.
Right.
I didn't mind
like,
talking about him.
Where do you want the spoon put? Right, yeah.
Does this go in the red box or the blue box? I'm like,
just throw
what?
it in. Yeah.
What? They're boxes.
Okay. Yeah. And then the actual, so you're in chaos. When did you have time to feel and grieve and experience the loss?
Yeah, so it got really tricky. So my kids were so young. My youngest, I think, was in preschool like 3 hours a day, and that's all the time I had to myself.
Oh, wow.
So that, or like when they went to bed. So I feel like the numbness was in the morning. I mean, I still had it through the day, but I would have to really make sure I could make time for those big feelings, whatever they were, anger, anxiety, depression, sadness, all of that, just crying, either when they went to bed or when they weren't home, which was...
Those 3 hours, or
yeah,
when they went to bed.
Right, which I usually did errands or went to the grocery store, so it was usually in the evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so for that time, when did you start to feel relief, or the gentleness of some of those emotions releasing?
Definitely a good cry.
Okay.
Definitely. I literally felt relief. It's uncomfortable and it's really not pleasant. I'm not a big crier, but I just felt better after, like right after. That relief was right away. But I could feel it in my body well up about every 3 days. Right? It just was like, whoa, it's really high right now. I need to talk to someone or journal or cry. I need to do something at this point.
Something just to get that out. It would swell up in you. Oh, wow. So with the holidays, because we have holidays coming up here, it can be really tough for grieving. What do you think are some helpful things to manage the feelings of loss and sadness around that time?
Like to help to manage it? I would say not to commit too much during the holidays. I feel like people get really busy during holidays. I have to do this, I have to do that. I would try to scale that down to just make it more manageable, what feels right. Giving yourself permission to leave an event early. Like maybe go, but only go for like 20, 30 minutes, you know. Just, you don't have to stay there all night for hours, because then that's too much. Just breathing, journaling, there's a lot of other strategies, but for the holidays specifically, just being really careful and trying to monitor what you can handle. Like to check in and be like, what sounds okay? Because it's going to be different for everyone.
Yeah, so really knowing what they need, and listening to themselves is what I'm hearing you say, and saying no to some things. Did you ever find that you created new traditions? How did you do that transition with your children?
Definitely. And I think with COVID too, people would have a good, things changed, right? So it'd be something similar where, we would like have hot chocolate and drive around in our car because it was like raining and to visit lights and went to certain houses. Or, I don't know, you could always like do like a fun breakfast. And so like a new tradition, you could even do something like a Chinese buffet. You could do something totally just different. I like the idea of, I've never been to midnight mass, but something like that might be like, you've always wanted to do something. And be like, hey, I'm just going to try this out this time. Or,
not being afraid to try new things.
Yeah. And then if you don't like it, like, okay, well, won't do that again, and maybe we'll do something else. Like you're not stuck to one thing. So flexibility in grieving is huge, is what I'm hearing from you. And really helped you. Yeah, definitely. And then other people are not going to be able to always accept that. That part's hard. I think that's one of the hardest parts.
Yeah, talk to us about that.
So other people are gonna be like, "Oh, come on! Like you're always dressed up as this, or you're always a part of this." Like, I know, but I need to take care of myself, and you have to put up a few boundaries. Saying no to some people, it's gonna be hard. Other people aren't gonna understand. Or if you leave early, so it's really about self-care at that time and knowing what you can do. Some people say, get over it or move on.
Oh.
Yeah.
You heard people say that to you.
I had people say, yes, you told me that before. Which was really hard. I think that was hard. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is sometimes how how we can experience others. They want us to quickly move on or don't understand the grief. What do you have any tips for people who might hear that from others, like get over it or move on, or what time are you done grieving? Like basically, right? What? Because we're on a timeline, right? What
Yeah, I would love for people just to be like present, just to not feel like they have to say something, because it's not always having a conversation. Just knowing, I've prefaced even, hey, it's the anniversary of something. I might not be in a good mood today, and I've prefaced things going forward just for that expectation to not be, I might not be happy today. I might not be cheerful and silly and fun or something, like, and they're like, okay. And then I feel like it's kind of accepted that way, but it's a miss. I don't think our culture does grief very well. It's a, okay, that was a month ago, or that was a couple months ago. Come on, get back to work. Be productive. You're the same person, right?
Okay, so there was an expectation not only to move on quickly, but to be the same person.
Yeah.
And grief changes us.
Yeah.
And so what did you find? What were the ways that it changed you a lot?
One of the biggest changes, even with my kids, which is so crazy. So it's even, they were so little, was tomorrow's not guaranteed. So I would even tell them, hey, I'm going to pick you up. They're like, yeah, but are you? And I was like, wow. It's something I couldn't promise because I honestly didn't know. So it's pretty amazing.
You start changing your language with them.
Language, and just instead of planning, I'm going to meet with this person when, it's perfect and 3 months out. It's like, hey, I have time Thursday. You have time? Like, we need to get together. And you're just more intentional with meeting and keeping those relationships, because it's just, tomorrow is not guaranteed. It's just, my kids know it, I know it, and you just are much more intentional with time. Time is just so much more valuable. Like now, all we have is now. So
that's a really powerful statement. All we have is now, and you live that and breathe that every day.
Yeah, I do.
So when you're working with, having had your own experiences with grief and your role as a counselor, how do you balance this personal journey that you've had and your way of being in the professional environment? Yeah,
it's just, so I'll still have moments, right? We like grief, losing a job, just there's so, like losing a pet, we still have that, right? I've had big losses, and then there's so many different losses that I don't think people realize are their losses. It's something we have to grieve. And so it's just making sure that we spend time, make time for that, make space for those feelings. Because when we stuff it, it just stays in our bodies. Our physical health can decline.
So it goes to the body. Yeah, absolutely.
It doesn't have anywhere else to go. It doesn't leave. Yeah. So it can cause like worse problems even later on if it's just not dealt with. It's just, there's no place for it. So I'll say, like, put it on the shelf. Like, okay, I'll put that. Okay, I need I can like feel something. I'm like, okay, I need to spend some time, and I need to explore this. What is this? And I'll make time in the evenings, or to journal, or with a friend, like, hey, do you have some time? And really spend some time there, so I'm like kind of releasing it, or I don't know how.
Yes, intentionally creating the space, and you have a way now to contain it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to flood out, but it's there, and then you go back to it.
Yes.
You don't ignore it. You don't stuff it down.
Right. It's going back to it.
Yes. And given that we're in a culture that doesn't really appreciate that process, what does that feel like to have this grief that's yours? And we do all have losses. I hear that. big L's, like your
Right.
husband, and little L's,
Right.
like the loss of a job, or we have to move, or
Right.
any of it. So given that there isn't a great honor for this sense of grief, how do you think we can be in a culture that kind of resists that? How can we handle that while we're still choosing to grieve?
Yeah, it's really hard. It's hard to find a support. It's really hard in our culture. Just it's our relationships. Just we're not alone in it. The aloneness can be really hard. We have to watch the isolating. So it's just really like keeping a routine, trying to go out and keep going to the farmer's market. Like you're fine. Sure, take a month off, but okay, I'm gonna start going again. I'm gonna start, doing implementing those little routines that you did before that you enjoy. And then there's nature.
Okay. How did that help you?
For me, the ocean was mine. Just the sounds. I think I always like to go to a place where it's the waves are literally crashing into the rocks because it just feels like it's just washing over me. So that place was just my spot for sure.
Okay. Finding your spot, finding places that heal you, because nature understands grief.
There's so much beauty too,
and it stays with you in the grief and the beauty, and reminds you of both. Where humans can't hold that as well.
Yeah, no. Not everyone.
Not everyone. Okay. So as we're approaching the new year, are there some positive intentions or goals people can set for their healing journey?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone wants to feel better. So I would challenge people to, what can I think the New Year's is perfect for those resolutions, right? That newness, this year I'm going to maybe see a therapist or join a new dance group and try all these new things that are, right? Because you're different now. It's that new normal, right? You have all this stuff that you've gone through. So it's trying to find these new things to do to better you. What do you want? What have you been putting off? So I feel like people with grief tend to think about their lives wait, what direction is this direction I want to go? I think they tend to look at themselves more as well and reflect and want a deeper maybe purpose, or maybe I should go for that other job. I do feel they challenge that more, and then combined with the new year, I feel like that's even more of that opportunity maybe that people needed. That little extra push.
That extra push to find a greater purpose, find a greater meaning, connect more with what's around them.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Ashley, this conversation's been really enriching. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and your personal experience. Where can our listeners find out more about your work and connect with you?
Well, the best is just through my email, which is Ashley Jensen at saltedlife.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us at Salted Up Podcast. I hope you found the discussion really insightful today and have tips that you can take with you as you explore aspects of your little L's and big L's. Remember to stay well, to keep connected, and to continue to ride the waves of grace.